Dr. R.S. Rai, Scientific Assistant, National Coordination Center, Pharmacovigilance Program of India. I would like to draw the attention of all of our students and the staff that they will be highly benefited by the speech delivered by Dr. R.S. Rai. Dr. R.S. Rai, I would like to give his brief biodata. I would like to introduce to all of you that Dr. R.S. Rai is a pharmacist by profession. He has done his B Pharm and M Pharm pharmacology from Delhi Institute of Pharmaceutical Science and Research, Delhi, one of the premier institutions of India. He has done in the PhD in neuroscience branch from Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Center for Biomedical Research from University of Delhi. During his research activities, he was awarded Senior Research Fellowship from ICMR and CSIR. He has also worked as PhD National Postdoctoral Fellow at University Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Punjab University, Chandigarh. He has got vast experience in preclinical experimental pharmacology and pharmacovigilance. He has numerous awards and honors to his credit. He has authored 2 books, chapters, and 10 international publications in high impact journals. He is also reviewer for International Journal of Repute and presented his scientific works as poster and presentations in various national and international conferences. Currently, he is working as a scientific assistant at National Coordination Center for Pharmacovigilance Program of India at Indian Pharmacopia Commission, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. Pharmacovigilance is one of the part of our pharmacy curriculum. The students and the staff will be get benefited and they will be more informative by the talk delivered by Dr. R.S. Rai. I would like to invite to Dr. R.S. Rai to join with us, and we are very much happy and fortunate that Dr. R.S. Rai with us. I request to Dr. R.S. Rai, please deliver your speech.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your kind introduction, and thank you for inviting me for this wonderful conference, national seminar, DCP Con, DCP Pharmacon, and I think my talk will sync with the theme that join pharmacists to ensure patient safety. So I must say that I'm also a proud pharmacist, and before getting into my profession, I was a pharmacist. So I'm very happy to be part of this conference. So can I share my slides, sir? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Can I share my slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir, you have to share, sir.
Yes. I'm sharing, sir.
Sir, your photo is, your video is not audible, sir. I mean visual. Yeah. Slide is perfectly all right, sir.
Right.
Sir, we are unable to see you, sir. Can the camera can it be focused on you, sir?
So just a minute, I'll check, sir. So the video is on, probably due to the internet bandwidth. I think it's not opening.
Okay.
Right, sir.
Okay, sir. It's all right.
Yeah. Shall I continue with my presentation, sir?
Please, sir.
Okay. So the topic for me is on ADR reporting. So so I'll be discussing on this ADR reporting and its importance in Indian population, in Indian scenario. So yes. So I'm Dr. Ray. I'm working as scientific assistant at the Indian Pharmacopia Commission. So we at Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission have four basic functions. One, it is the publication of Indian Pharmacopoeia, which is the official book of reference of for the standards for the drugs published in India. And the second most important one is the Pharmacovigilance Program of India, and the third one is National Formulary of India, which is a book of rational prescription of drugs, which is for mainly for physicians and healthcare professionals across the country. And the fourth major one is the production of reference standards, and this reference standards acts as a fingerprint for the drugs marketed within the country. So in order to maintain quality of the drugs, so these reference standards has been used by various pharmaceutical industries, and which is ensured by the regulatory authority, which is CDSU. So coming on to the topic of the today's theme, before getting into it, let me go with the brief life cycle of a drug. So as you all know that drugs have become an integral part of healthcare system to treat diseases, and these drugs have two stages: drug discovery stage as well as developmental stage, which most of you might be aware of. And most students, I think, in the masters and the bachelors, they might be knowing, they might have read it in the pharmacology textbooks. So I'll be just brushing a bit with a couple of slides. So the first one is discovery stage. In the discovery stage, you would be identifying a particular target, and then you identify and a few compounds which works on that particular target, and then establish the pharmacological activity. And once the pharmacological activity is being tested, and once it has given fruitful results, these entities are then converted into clinical candidates. So once these clinical candidates have been finalized, then this has been tested in the developmental stage. This has been tested in small animals. So in the laboratory animals, in rats, mice, rabbits, etc. So this will be tested. And once the preclinical toxicity is being passed, now this become this become a candidate, this become an investigational new drug. So if you could see that at this point, if a drug has to go through a clinical trial, this investigational new drug application has to be submitted to the Central Drug Standard Control Organization. Once this has been approved, then it will be subjected to the clinical trials. As you all know that the clinical trials has phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. And at the end of the phase 3, if the drug passes through the clinical trial phase 3 with more benefit than the risk, then it will be subjected to approval by the regulatory body, which is the CDSU. Now this becomes a new drug application. So once the new drug application is been approved, now it will be put on into the market, which is the clinical trial phase 4, which is known as post-marketing surveillance. So now throughout the life cycle of a drug, if you could see, we are continuously assessing the risk-benefit analysis. In each stage, either in both the discovery stage as well as the developmental stage, when the risk is more than when the risk is less than the benefit, only then it passes each stage. So the benefit is being the most important cornerstone in the life cycle of a drug for treating diseases. So now moving on to the next, coming to the timeline of the drug development. If you could see the drug discovery stage, if you could see that it goes on into the in vitro and in silico studies, which takes approximately about 3 to 5 years, and which is followed by the preclinical stage, which is experimental pharmacology and toxicology, which is about 2 to 3 years. So on an overall, if you could see, which is 5 to 8 years, which goes between the drug discovery as well as the preclinical stage. Now it becomes a new chemical entity, and post this new chemical entity, now it goes into the clinical stage, which is phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. This takes approximately 3 to 8 years, and throughout this clinical trial stage, and then it becomes a new drug application, and now the drug is actually into the market, which is phase 4, which is the post-marketing surveillance. Now this post-marketing surveillance is mandatory as per Central Drug Standard Control Organization, which is the Drug Regulatory Authority of India. The mandates each company has to submit for a period of 4 years this PS in the form of periodic safety update report for any new drug as well as vaccine. And what happens is that after this 4 years period, whenever the drug regulatory authority requires any report on the post-marketing report, the marketing authorization holders or the manufacturers of the drug is subjected to submit the report, post-marketing PMS report, in the form of PSUR to CDSU. Now, if you could see that overall, there is a step-by-step drug discovery, preclinical, clinical, post-marketing, each and every stage. Therefore, it was carefully analyzed for the drug safety and then toxicity, and then it has been put on into the market for public and for the use in general public. now, there is the most important difference is that now that everybody must be having a question that why there is a side effect, adverse events seen in drug when it is into the market, despite it being tested in the clinical trial. So as you all know, that clinical trial is in a very conditioned and closely monitored phases where it has been very closely monitored for adverse drug reactions. So this can be explained in the way that the left panel, which shows that this is a clinical trial. The left panel shows a clinical trial. So this image shows this is an empty road. This is analogous to that of a clinical. So, for example, if a driver who is not an expert, which means a new learner, can simply drive a car at this empty road. However, on sharp contrast to this, the right side panel, if you could see, there is a busy market where even an expert driver or a Formula One driver may find it difficult to drive a car in this busy market without hitting anyone. So the difference is that in clinical trials, the drug is given only to specific patients for a limited indications, for a controlled process and limited follow-up. Say, for example, the patient is followed up for a period of 6 months or 3 months or 1 year period. But on the contrary, when the drug is put into the market in the post-marketing surveillance, there is a lot of factors comes into the play, like age, comorbidity, environment, diet, genetics, disease, and there is drug interaction, there is multiple populations. There are a lot of things comes into the play, and therefore the drug passing through this post-marketing stage is often difficult, and that's why there are a lot of drugs which gets withdrawn or gets obsolete within the market when the new drugs are new category or a new drug arrive for that particular indications. So therefore, in clinical trials, it may pass through easily, but in post-marketing surveillance, there are more obstructions. If you could see that these multiple factors which plays a role. Therefore, this has to be closely monitored upon even throughout the life cycle of the drug. So moving on to the next. So now we know that despite the clinical trial, the post-marketing surveillance is absolutely essential. Now the need for ADR monitoring is that the limited exposure of exposure prior to marketing, and if you could see, there was a report which says that rat and mice predicted together only 43% of candidate drugs observed later in the clinical stage, which means that these toxicities which are witnessed in the preclinical stage may or may not appear in the clinical stage. And 95% of the drugs approved for testing in humans fail to receive approval for human use, which means the clinical trial, out of 195 drugs fails in the clinical trial itself. Now see that out of 1,000 or lakhs of compounds, one compounds pass through the clinical trial, which is put into the market, and even these drugs which are approved are later withdrawn or relabeled due to serious or lethal adverse effects in humans. And the most classical example is the Vioxx, which is rofecoxib. This is one of the blockbuster drug which has been withdrawn due to adverse effects. And most importantly, special populations like pediatrics, which is small children, and geriatric population, which is above 60 age, and pregnant females, they are frequently not evaluated during the clinical trials. So these are the reasons that we need to have a comprehensive post-marketing surveillance system necessary to have a proper drug safety mechanisms across the country. Now, these are the drugs withdrawn due to adverse drug reactions. So if you could see that these are the list of drugs, and the most recent one is rofecoxib, which I told you that Vioxx. This is withdrawn due to the cerebrovascular accident, which is in stroke. And coming to the history of adverse drug reactions, there is a lot of history starting from the chloroform use to the latest one, diethylstilbestrol and vaginal adenocarcinoma. I found it this information would be useful for most of you. Therefore, I will start with the history of adverse drug reactions. So the first example is chloroform induced death. And I hope that most of you, like in our laboratories, we use chloroform as an anesthesia for using studies on animals, especially in rats and mice. We use chloroform, ether, and all those things. So this chloroform was first used as an obstetrical anesthetics in 1847 by Sir James Youngster and all those things. And so this this anesthesia was hit to fame when Queen Victoria used this chloroform anesthesia in 1853 for her eighth child. And therefore, this shot to fame. And what happens is that after this, people started using this chloroform as an anesthesia, and they observed that sudden fainting of the people and death. And then what happens is that there was a study which was published in the British Medical Journal, which says that which compared the safety of both ether and chloroform, which says that ether, with the use of ether, 4 out of 92,800 people died, while for chloroform it is 53 out of 152,000 people died, which means in 1 in 2000, 1 in 23,000 died out of ether, and 1 in 2,873 people died of this chloroform. Therefore, chloroform was found to be less safe than ether. And this study started because there was a patient known as Hannah Green. She went for a toenail ingrowth problem. So most of you might have faced this toenail ingrowth. So what happens is she went for a minor surgery in the toenail, that they just cut this extra growth of the nail. So what happened for that? They given chloroform and she died. And from there, the first pharmacovigilance started, and this resulted in this study which showed that chloroform is more toxic than ether. Now moving on to the next one, in the next most important milestone in the history of pharmacovigilance is sulfinamide. And as you all know that sulfinamide, it's been in the textbook, pharmacology textbook, and this sulfinamide is used it's used to dye carpets, and in previously, but it is at this point in the early 1940s, which is the post Second World War, and those point of the time people were dying due to infections. And at that point, Gerhard Domack, who found that this sulfonamide dye has anti-streptococcus properties, and that he saved a lot of lives, for which he has been awarded the Nobel Prize for Medicine in the year 1939. Now, soon the drug shot to fame, and this has been put into the market in the form of pills and capsules in the US. And therefore, if you all might be knowing that you all might be taking tablets in some form of tablets or capsules in some form or the other. And some tablets, you could see that it gives us a bitter taste to us, so that we generally avoid. We say that this tablet is, I don't like this because it's having a bitter taste. So that in order to increase this sulfonamide also had the same issue, and therefore, in order to increase the palatability, a small company from USA, which is Tennessee company, they started using diethylene glycol. And this diethylene glycol, and they made it a different formulation, which is known as elixir, in 1937. So at that point of the time, there was no stringent rules for doing this pre-marketing toxicological studies or anything. So no toxicological study was being carried out. And what you can see is that very quickly, once this new formulation has hit the market, people have started taking this as a anti-streptococcal properties, and many series of deaths happened due to kidney failure. And this, because of this, a study conducted in which it showed that approximately 170 people died from taking an elixir of sulfonamide that contained the solvent diethylene glycol, which was aimed to improve palatability. And later, when they did a proper research on this, they found that the ethylene glycol, which was used in this to prepare this elixir, was a potent nephrotoxin, and this caused death from the renal failure, and the death was caused mostly among children. And the responsible chemist who actually prepared this elixir formulation died by suicide. And at that point of the time, batch recall was done, in which out of 240 gallons, 228 gallons were like batch recall was been done, which prevented further major tragedy. And this incident induced a huge scenario within the US, and then then President Franklin Roosevelt therefore signed the current drug regulatory system, which is Federal Food, Drugs and Cosmetics Act, which emphasized the need for safety data. So therefore, the first milestone for having a pharmacovigilance system or to do a toxicity studies is being with the as a result of this sulfonylamide induced neurotoxicity. And then the second most important milestone in the pharmacovigilance is the thalidomide. As you all know that thalidomide is one of the most widely used drug in the in the West Germany and the European nations post Second World War. So what happens is people were affected with the what do you call these people. There a lot of people have lost their lives. There's somebody's relatives, somebody has lost their properties, and so they would have these anxiety related disorders, so they couldn't sleep. So what happened, these in order to overcome these sleep disorders, and what happened is that this thalidomide was being prescribed. And the reason for this thalidomide is that this is a non-barbiturate hypnotic, which means if it was a barbiturate hypnotic, then this would lead to dependency and addiction. So since this was a non-barbiturate hypnotic, so this thalidomide was been widely used across the West Germany. Now what happens is that suddenly in 1961, this because this drug has been widely used, just like today we receive paracetamol from our over the counter just for a fever. If anybody is having a fever, we just go and take the paracetamol. So what happens is at that point, the drug was considered so safe that this drug was widely prescribed, and they can be got from the over the counter. And later, what happens is that the physicians, they found that this drug, thalidomide, has another off-label use, which means that this cured their morning sickness in females. That during the pregnancy days and the first trimester, if you could see that most females, they used to experience the morning sickness. So this drug, owing to its safety and continuous use among the public, the physicians have started using this thalidomide as an off-label drug for this morning sickness. And what happened is that suddenly in 1961, there was an outbreak of phocomelia. And the phocomelia is nothing but which is abnormally developed limbs in the newborn babies. So what happens? The limbs were not properly developed. And later, when it was studied, the crucial period of pregnancy during which this happened was the first 3 months. So this is the image of a phocomelia affected child. So what happens is that from 1959 to 61, approximately 4,000 to 10,000 cases of phocomelia cases were reported. So if you imagine in Germany, and there has been 4,000 to 10,000 children in a society with this without proper limbs. So it would be an entire mess for using a drug for a treatment. So every drug has to be used for for a benefit, but here it has been ended up in a phocomelia type cases. So quickly the link was established that the thalidomide was related to this teratogenicity by the German genetist, which is his name is Lenz, during a congress in Düsseldorf. And during at that point of the time, there was no social media, there was no email, there was no communication. So what they do is like these physicians, they go and submit their observation in a conference, and then this led to another William McBride, who is another physician. He later confirmed that yes, this such type of abnormalities is happening, and those point of the time he has wrote a letter in the leading medical journal Lancet, stating that he has observed this congenital anomalies, which is as an adverse drug reaction, and the risk group which he found is the pregnancy. And what he found is that in about 20% of the population he used, there was an thalidomide affected child, as we see, and he has asked other people readers about is there any similar abnormalities been in babies delivered of women who have taken this drug. And so when this study, and when this reached most of the people, and if you could see that these physicians and they depend on these medical journals for the new updates at that point of time. When this became a huge news across the regulatory system, then this led to the withdrawal of the drug from the market. This is one of the major milestones in pharmacovigilance. And the last one is diethyl stilbestrol and adenocarcinoma. So in the interest of time, I'll skip this slide. So coming to the journey of pharmacovigilance in India. So this journey of pharmacovigilance in India is not a roller coaster ride. So if you could see that the journey pharmacovigilance started way back in 1888. It was when, as I said, that the safety of chloroform studies has been studied, it was compared between ether and chloroform. At that point of the time, the safety of chloroform was also studied in India, which was under the British colonial era. So if the Britishers used Indian populations to study the safety of chloroform in two chloroform commissions, which has been established in the current Hyderabad, which is Osmania Medical College. There two chloroform commission has been established, and which was being studied in about 40,000 patients. In 1975, the first permanent index case series of ADS was being noted, and in about 336 patients. And in 1983, it was Dr. Molly Thomas from CMC Vellore. She started the formal ADR monitoring system within the hospital. So this Molly Thomas, what she did was she started telling their colleagues that we need to establish a system in which we need to monitor the adverse drug reaction with the use of the drugs. And when this gradually the sulfinamide tragedy and thalidomide disaster has become a huge news across the globe, in 1986, the first pharmacovigilance system was introduced by the CDSU with 12 regional centers across the country. And post which, and this couldn't take off so long, so the first effort failed. And in 1989, again the CDSU attempted, but this too failed. And in 1989, the third attempt was done by the Indian Council of Medical Research as a multi-centric project in 12 centers, and it too failed after some time. And the fourth instance, in 1997, it was again retook. This program was taken by the Central Drug Standard Control Organization with 6 centers. This also failed. And in 1998, India officially joined the WHO program for international drug monitoring. And this WHO program for international drug monitoring started after this thalidomide disaster. So this WHO brought all the countries together, and they started a club together, and they started collecting this adverse drug reaction from all the countries, which is known as the WHO program for international drug monitoring, which India joined in 1998, approximately 30 years after this, after the thalidomide disaster. So in 2004, again the 5th attempt was done with the aim that it is as a national pharmacovigilance program with 2 zonal centers, and we got funding from the World Bank. And when in 2009 the funding from the World Bank stopped, and again this program was put on hold. And in 2010, which is the 6th attempt by CDSU, this is the most successful attempt that it recrystallized PVPA. And at this point of the time, All India Institute of Medical Science, New Delhi was functioning as the National Coordination Center for Pharmacovigilance Program of India, under which we had 22 centers across the country. And in 2011, this program was shifted from AIIMS New Delhi to PVPA, to Indian Pharmacopia Commission. And since then, Indian Pharmacopia Commission is functioning as the National Coordination Center for Pharmacovigilance Program of India. And from 2011, there was no looking behind, and we had a lot of failures at the previous stages. And from there on, we started our success journey. And in 2012, we launched the Hemovigilance Program of India for blood and blood products. National Institute of Biologicals, Noida, is the National Coordination Center for this Hemovigilance Program of India. And in 2013, we had helpline number 1800-180-3024 for reporting adverse drug reactions with the use of drugs. Helpline number 1800. Anybody can call at this number from Monday to Friday. And in 2015, we have launched the Material Vigilance Program of India for medical device. And then in 2017, we have launched the Skill Development Program in Pharmacovigilance specifically for students and these healthcare professionals in order to cater, in order to train more and more people on pharmacovigilance. So we have started this skill development program since 2009, which is running most successfully, and even now, even this week, we are doing this 27 skill development program. So, and in 2017, out of our recognizing our sincere effort by the PVPA and the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission, the WHO has recognized Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission as the WHO collaborating for pharmacovigilance and regulatory services. And in 2021, we become the 8th largest reporter of India for reporter of submission of adverse drug reaction to WHO. And in 2021, we have started the National Pharmacovigilance Week from in September 17 to 23rd every year. So now that we are following the continuing the legacy, and then so what happens is that so after this, now we are successfully completing this activities related to pharmacovigilance and material vigilance. And now coming to now you all know that there is a possibility of adverse drug reactions happening. There is a possibility even of the drug into the market. Is it worth looking for? Yes. The most important reason is that even if you treat treat the diseases with a drug, there is always a possibility of the dark side, because risk versus benefit. There is a possibility of few risk with the use of any product, including a medical product, drugs. So therefore, and the most important reason for looking for it is most areas are preventable. So if we prevent the adverse drug reaction from happening to most of the people, and if as a healthcare professional, if we are able to prevent further damage, further illness to other people, then it is worth looking for. And what happens is that it can cause illness, not only illness, but also serious reactions can cause disability and death. And if you could see that the death can be due to the serious adverse drug reaction like Stevenson-Jones syndrome and toxic epidermal necrolysis, etc. There are many possibilities that this may happen. And today, there is one of the report which says that 8 adverse drug reactions ranks among the top 10 causes of mortality globally. And therefore, ADRs are a huge burden, and which not only this burden is not only a huge burden economically, socially, as well as emotionally also. So therefore, these ADRs, there is a possibility that these ADRs can be detected before and after marketing. And so now there comes a question: is there any safe drug? Now, the absolute answer will be no. There is no such thing as a safe drug. There are risks in any intrusion into the human body, whether chemical or surgical. There is a possibility of risk everywhere, at all times. So nothing in this field is entirely predictable, except that the interaction between science and the human body may produce surprises. And these are the problems with drugs. This is adverse drug events, which is known as allergy, subtherapeutic dose, drug misuse, non-adherence, drug interactions, drug withdrawal, treatment failure, supratherapeutic dose, adverse drug reactions. And all these comes under the umbrella of adverse drug events, and which, if all these events are causally associated with a particular drug, if the causal association is being finalized, then it becomes an adverse drug reaction. So until it becomes if you suspect a reaction, it is adverse drug events, and if the causality is established, now then it becomes an adverse drug reaction. So now comes the pharmacovigilance. So pharmacovigilance is the science and activities related to detecting the odd adverse drug reactions out of a useful benefits, and then assessing this odd one out and understanding why this is happening and what are the ways of prevention of adverse events or any other medicine related problem. So basically, pharmacovigilance is meant for detecting, assessing, understanding, and prevention of adverse effects of medicine related problems. So the need for pharmacovigilance is to protect patients from unnecessary harm and increasing healthcare costs for medicines. So as a healthcare professionals, as a pharmacist, as a healthcare professionals, you and we are working to protect patients from unnecessary harm. So if any adverse drug reactions are happening, This is a huge burden, as I said earlier. It's a huge burden, not only economically, socially, but also emotionally to the caregivers. And this pharmacovigilance is needed because insufficient evidence of safety during clinical trial, because in clinical trial only limited indication control process has been, a limited follow-up is been done, and which has been done for a short period, while the drug will be into the market for a long period. Say for example, paracetamol has been used for more than 100 years, it is still into the market. And for signal detection and risk minimization process, and for early detection of ADRs on patient subgroups of exceptional sensitivity like pediatrics, geriatrics, and pregnant women. And this establishing a pharmacovigilance system in place, this will promote rational use of medicine and medication adherence. And this pharmacovigilance system supports regulatory agencies and decision-making process for safe use of medicine. Say, for example, either doing a PIL change, patient information leaflet change, or withdrawing the drug from the market, or changing the category of the schedule of the drug from schedule H to other schedules. This can be done only with the data for pharmacovigilance. And this existence of such a pharmacovigilance system in place, this will boost public confidence for safe and proper use of medicines. And this is what, as I said, that Pharmacopia Commission, Indian Pharmacopia Commission is functioning as the National Coordination Center since 15th April 2011. And Material Vigilance Program of India and Hemovigilance Program of India is also functioning under the umbrella of PVPA. And WHO has bestowed IPC as the WHO Collaborating Center for Pharmacovigilance in Public Health Programs and Regulatory Services in 18 July 2017. Now coming to the expansion of PVPI. So this PVPA has a lot of ADR monitoring centers across the country. So we have, we started in the 2011-12, we started with 58 centers, and in the 2010-11 we had 22 centers, and since then now we have 842 ADR monitoring centers, which is functioning from hospitals, from medical colleges, from pharmacy institutions, from research institutes across the country. These ADR monitoring centers act as a locus point to collect adverse drug reactions, and they send it back to PVPA. And this is the expansion of PVPA, which, and now we have covered most of the states across the country. Now the next target is to cover each and every districts across the country. So now there are a few states, especially in the northeastern states, we have few ADR monitoring centers. Now we are working on a war-foot basis to cover all these and to put new ADR monitoring centers at these northeastern states as well. And why to report? So if you could see that today probably we are at the young stage, so we are not using the medicines. And tomorrow, and when we grow old, we may need the medication. Sooner or later, everyone needs medication. And say a pandemic like COVID has exposed a lot of people to take antibiotics, to take fever, paracetamol, and other medications. There are a lot of complications which ultimately results in the use of medicines. Therefore, one person can make the difference, because if you start reporting one report, if you have a suspicion, you start report, because probably you may reporting from your place, and somebody from the down south they'll be report, from somebody from the northeast may report, somebody from the mid central part of India may report. And if we have a collection of reports, we will have a statistical tool which analyze the potential problems and what are the associated causes. But the statistical tool will say that what will be the probability of occurrence, so that we can take necessary action at the right time, so that this can prevent other people from getting the harm out of the use of medicines. So it is a moral and ethical responsibility as a part of healthcare professionals to report adverse drug reactions. It need not to be that it need not be confirmed. What you want is a mere suspicion. What we request you is that you just send your suspicion to send you as in the form of email, or in the form of mobile app, or in the form of your hardcore filled in ADR reporting form. You send it back to us. We are here. We will do the analyze. We have a team here. We have an expert groups, and they finalize that what is happening with the drug. We are closely monitoring each and every activity with the use of drugs. And now the question is, who can report, and whom to report, and what are the channels which we can report? So the first one is that literally, if you could see, everybody can report. Consumers or patients can report, physicians can report, pharmacists can report, and ADR monitoring centers can report, pharmaceutical industries can report, and other healthcare professionals are literally every citizens of this country are the stakeholders of pharmacovigilance program in India, and therefore everybody can report. And whom to report is the first one. You can report it to the nearest ADR monitoring center, and the list of which is available in our website, for IPC Indian Pharmacopia Commission website. You can just go through it. You will find the nearest ADR monitoring center. You can just report it, or to the PVPA helpline, which I said toll-free helpline, which is functioning from 9 to 5:30 p.m. every day from Monday to Friday. You can report. We have a dedicated facility here. We just note it down, or you can use this PVPI mobile app. You can just use this mobile application or use the ADR reporting forms. So these are the mechanisms wherein you can pharmacovigilance program of India about this occurrence of adverse drug reactions. And the data flow is that once if a patient is experiencing any adverse events associated with the use of drugs, he or she can report either directly to PVPA through these channels, or he can report to the healthcare professionals, physicians, and these physicians and the healthcare professionals, they can report via this suspected ADR reporting form, which is specifically for healthcare professionals, and through this they will send it to the nearby ADR monitoring centers, or their own hospital might be functioning as ADR monitoring center. So through this ADR monitoring center, the data is being entered through a Vigiflow, which is a WHO software, and then the data reaches Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission. And then similarly, in pharmaceutical industries also play a huge role, and they also report directly to Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission. And then we have at NCC, we analyze these reports, and if there is any specific new adverse drug reactions or a change in frequency is happening, we have a signal review panel. We have expert committees here. They go for it, and the signal review panel is the topmost authority of a panel, which is comprised of experts from across the medical field as well as the pharmacy field. And these experts finalize, and they send these. We send these recommendations to the regulatory body, which is CDSO for regulatory actions. And these regulatory actions is being enforced by the Central Drug Standard Control Organizations to the pharmaceutical industries and for the general public. And similarly, we submit all these analyzed reports to WHO Uppsala Monitoring Center, Sweden. And we have active collaboration with the public health programs across the country, which is National Tuberculosis Elimination Program, National AIDS Control Program, National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program. We have Universal Immunization Program. So we are working hand in hand with all these public health programs to collect adverse drug reactions. And coming to the ADR reporting status of India, if you could see that today we have, as on date, we have 7,51,000 reports with IPC PVPI, and in 2022 we have received more than 1,17,000 reports across the country, and this year till November 22 we have received 89,000 reports, and probably we expect something around to be crossing 1 lakh by the end of December. So you could see that in 2011 we started with 15,000 reports, and now we have grown to something around, on an average we are receiving about approximately 1 lakh reports. So the growth of the journey of PVPA is tremendous over the last few years. And this is the PVPA helpline reporting. I request every participants and every students to kindly take note of this number, that you are a pharmacist, and pharmacists are nothing but they are the ambassadors of healthcare systems. So you are the primary contact between the patient as well as the doctor. So therefore, you can play a major role in reporting adverse drug reactions, because patients may tell you that yes, we have seen this and so experience so and so adverse events. So we request every pharmacist to report adverse drug reactions. And for the past few years, there is a significant increase. Since 2021, if you could see that 180 and now 321 in the 2022, and 2023 we have crossed 549 reports, and probably this may cross 600 reports, double the last year. So this will be possible only with the active participation of the pharmacists and students across the country. So you, as an ambassador for a healthcare system, I request everybody to take note of this remote and start reporting adverse drug reactions if you experience, if any. And These are the number of training programs we are organizing over the years. So if you could see that in 2011 we have started, and since 2021, since the implementation of the National Pharmacovigilance Week celebration, approximately 879 training programs were organized in 2021, and in 2022 more than 1700 training programs happened, and in 2023 we had crossed 18,052, and we expect that something around 2000 training programs may happen this year by the end of December. Now, the increase in ADR status in the PVPA helpline reporting must be probably directly related to this number of trainings, because these training programs keeps on sensitizing people about the existence of the PV systems and about the toll-free number, about the mechanism of reporting. So more and more people are getting aware, and thereby the number of ADR reports has been increasing year on year at PVPA. So these are the PVPA recommendations. We have issued till date 158 drug safety alerts. These drug safety alerts are nothing but these are the preliminary reports which shows our statistical tool at NCC PVPA, which shows that there is a possible association of a drug with an adverse event. So what we do is we send these drug safety alerts to all the hospitals and the healthcare professionals who are enrolled with us, and we ask them to closely monitor the use of these drugs, and therefore we solicit more adverse events with the product. If they experience any, they have to use it very cautiously, and if they found it 57 package insert changes and 12 signals. These 12 signals are nothing but these are new adverse drug reactions which have been identified from the Indian populations for the first time. These signals are new adverse drug reactions, and this today you might be every pharmacology student must be knowing that they have, whenever they go through every drug in the pharmacology textbook, they have a lot of adverse drug reaction, nausea, vomiting, etc., etc. So these adverse drug reaction, these signals will become a textbook adverse drug reactions in the days to come. So these signals are identified exclusively and indigenously from Indian population. And this is the format for monthly drug safety alert. This is how we issue the drug safety alerts, and these are the PVP outcomes which we have been publishing in the WHO newsletters for other countries as well. So PVP has been continuously working on it, and these are the PVPI resource materials. If you could see that we have been preparing the annual performance report, we have preparing this quarterly newsletter every quarter we issue, and it is freely downloadable from our website. Anybody can go through it. And the public outreach program is that it is that more than 7,400 training programs have been conducted till date, and in which more than 4,55,000 people have been trained. And we very often prepare new posters, awareness posters, and these posters are freely downloadable from our website. You may use it for sensitization purpose also. And this is the glimpse of the third National Pharmacovigilance Week celebration celebrated across the country. And this is just a glimpse. And coming to the performance indicators of PVPI, we have grown exponentially in terms of expansion. See, we started with 22 centers in the 2011, and today we have 842. And so is the number of reporting. If you could see that we have crossed 1,17,000 in 2022, and there is an increase in the number of trainings in 2022. And if you could see again number of people trained. So all these has been closely. If you could see that the graph shows an upward trend, and the more the number of trainings, the more people are trained, and the more people are getting acquainted with the system, pharmacovigilance system. The more people are aware that there is a system in place, and therefore the ADR reporting trend is being increased, and thus the expansion is also happening at a faster pace. And coming to the global scenario, India is now ranking 8th largest reporter of ICSRs among 176 countries. If you could see that in a short span of 11-12 years, we have reached the 8th position. See, since 2011, we have actually, although we have enrolled before, but since 2011, which we have become active, and in 2011, in a short span, we have become the 8th position. That's why WHO has bestowed us with the WHO Collaborating Center status. And reporting, it's a major concern. And although we are the 8th largest reporter, and there is an underreporting of adverse drug reaction is happening, and because many people may or may not report. And the actual reason for not reporting adverse drug reaction is the risk perception of adverse drug reaction. The public perception towards this adverse drug reaction is not that more, because people are not aware that how to report, what to report, why they should report, and about the importance. Now, this can be explained by this slide. If you could see the top portion, which is the outrage, and then bottom, if you could see that the heat wave in the northern India, northern part of India, especially in Delhi and associated areas, if you could see that the temperature crosses about 48 degrees Celsius. And if the temperature is crossing 50, the outrage is more. You could see. Now the people are acclimatized because they have been using this air conditioners. Therefore, they are okay with it. Now, if you could see this, there is one terrorist attack across anywhere, any part of the world. So there is, if you could see that the next day it is the talk of the town. The terrorist attack will be the talk of the town, because now that Israel-Palestine war is happening, so now everybody must be knowing that there is a war happening. And similarly, cancer. If you could see, cancer is a huge menace in the society. But what happens is that this cancer is taken very lightly because people knows that there's an efficient healthcare system within our country in place, and therefore this cancer can be cured. So the outrage is less. And similarly, if you come to this car accident, there are a lot of car accidents taking place. The public outrage is very less. And similarly, considering the adverse drug reaction, it's happening huge in amount, the adverse drug happening, and the people are not aware of it. Therefore, the public outrage to this adverse drug reaction is very less. And the barriers in reporting adverse drug reaction is that what we found in our experience when we were discussion with the healthcare professionals and other people is that many people say that how will my one report help? And many say that I'm not paid to report ADR. Many think that it's an additional administrative burden. Many say that they don't have time to fill adverse drug reactions. And many say that they are afraid of legal complications. And many say that I don't know how to report adverse drug reactions. And therefore, it is our moral responsibility as a pharmacist. And today, on this special occasion of the Pharmacy Week and National Pharmacy Week celebrations, and therefore I take this as an opportunity to sensitize you all that we as a healthcare professionals, we have to lead from the front. We have to play as a torch bearer in reporting adverse drug reactions in the interest of patient safety. We are working. We are a healthcare professionals. We are working in the interest of the general public who are taking the medicine. Today, you and me will also be the part of this general public who are taking the medicine. Therefore, we have to help India grow the patients to be safe in terms of. Therefore, everybody has to report. I request everybody to report any suspected adverse reaction, if any. And the challenges and concerns is that we have a population of more than 1.42 billion people, and we have a different systems of medicines practice. Say, for example, allopathy, Ayurvedic, homeopathy systems are placed. People might be taking multiple medicines together, so therefore there's a possibility that there can be an adverse reactions. There are different ethnic diversity happening. Like for example, in the northeast, we could see there is a different ethnic diversity. From the down south, there's a different people, and therefore, if you could see that this is a challenge for ours, because there is a possibility of more and more adverse reactions happening. And the most important thing is India is the pharmacy of the world, because we have more than 20,000 drug formulations, and we export approximately 80% of the generic drugs to other countries. So we have multiple drug formulations, so that invites more and more drug related issues like polypharmacy, which can interpret the adverse drug reactions. And the challenges is that there is lack of reporting or under-reporting by healthcare professionals, and most importantly, lack of ADR reporting culture among the healthcare professionals, and most importantly, physicians. And this can be attributed to the physician-patient ratio, because there might be very less physician-patient ratio across the country, and the absence of ADR monitoring centers, and people are not aware of it about this across the country, and less stringent PV rules. And the strategies to counter is that we have to create awareness that ADR is not a clinical stigma. We need to tell every healthcare professionals, including pharmacists, physicians, nurses, everybody, that ADR is a common phenomena. This is not attributed to them, but however, it is attributed to the inherent property of the drug molecule. And many people are afraid of medical legal issues. And then, therefore, I request everybody that no medical legal issues will be taken forward with the reporting of adverse drug reactions. It has been clearly mentioned in the ADR reporting form. And we need to give regular training programs on pharmacovigilance and ADR reporting to all healthcare professionals. And we need to involve clinicians, pharmacists, nurses, consumers, and everybody should be part of this pharmacovigilance training and ADR reporting. And we request monthly drug safety alert to be shared by the pharmacists. As you are a fellow pharmacist, you can share it, because you are these days you have WhatsApp groups, the Facebooks, and all those things. You can simply share it just to make aware people, yes, there is a system in place. And we can customize training based on the target participants, and advertise more about PV in the form of posters, pamphlets, and advertise more about the mobile app and the toll-free number. You need to sensitize your fellow professionals, your fellow relatives, your fellow colleagues about the PVPA mobile app and the toll-free number, and this more and more people can communicate to us. And the most important, the take-home message is that the communication is the key. So we need to educate more and more patients about the existence of such a system, so that tomorrow, that now we are entirely relying on the healthcare professionals. Now it has to be, this baton has to be transferred to the patients, where patients should be self-sustainable to report adverse drug reaction. For that, we need to educate patients, and at the same time, we need to sensitize healthcare professionals about this adverse drug reactions through their orientation trainings, and expect them to report adverse drug reactions. And the most important thing is we need to create awareness among general public. That's where the National Pharmacovigilance Week celebration, which is being celebrated 17th to 23rd September every year, falls in place, and we have more than 2,000 training programs across the country. So I request the Danteshwari College of Pharmacy also to take up this initiative every year from next year, so that more and more people in your locality will get aware about this pharmacovigilance system in place and ADR reporting. And we need to have an increased communication and feedback. And we need to, last but not least, we need to frame stronger regulations to report adverse drug reactions. And this increasing PV awareness among us is a proof that we are taking this patient safety seriously. So I take this as an opportunity to sensitize everybody, and everybody, please take note of this, that please report any adverse drug reactions. So for reporting adverse drug reactions, you need not to be certain. What you should have is that a high degree of suspicion, and report any suspected adverse drug reaction. Say, for example, if you are taking in paracetamol, and if you suspect that, yes, my rashes is probably related to this paracetamol, if you suspect, yes, please report. And there is a system in place, and please tell everyone that there is a system in place to report adverse drug reactions, and you be a lifesaver, and encourage people around you to report adverse drug reactions. And that's all from my end. And let's join hands with PVPA to promote patient safety. So thank you all for your patient hearing. So I can take a couple of questions from the audience, if any. Is there any questions?
Hello, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Sir, can you? I couldn't hear you. Can you please type it in the chat box?
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, any hello,
Yes, sir.
sir,
Yes.
any drug has been withdrawn from Indian market after getting any ADR report, negative report.
Yes, yes, sir. That rofecoxib, which has been withdrawn from global market. So India is
Okay.
it has been withdrawn, sir.
That is the only one, sir.
Yes, this is the only one of late from since 2011, because sir, these days it is all evidence based. So, in order to withdraw a drug from the market, we need to have more and more data with us. Now, India is in a stage that we are just having 7.5 lakhs reports, and considering the population of 1.34 billion, 1.42 billion something, and now we are the highest population across the world, and had see imagine the drug usage across the populations. So how many drug must be people must be using, and how with respect to that, the number of reports what we receive is very few. So now to take any regulatory actions, what we need to is that we need to have our own indigenous data. Say for example, nimesulide drug, which I think most everybody must be knowing aware of it, that this drug has been widely used for as a painkiller. Now, this drug is banned in European nations and USA. But if you look at in Indian data, the indigenous data shows that the drug is completely safe. So, in order to ban a drug from the Indian market, so we need to have evidence. So, unless we have evidence-based thing, we cannot ban it. And the reason behind it is the population at the European populations and the US population, the ethnicity is different. So, therefore, probably it is affecting them more than us. And number two, so based on that, the risk benefit analysis, our Central Drug Standard Control Organization, which is the national regulatory authority, what they have done is that they have they have restricted the use of this nimesulide in the children among below 12 years of age. But however, even that has not been well received by the clinicians across the country, because they are not aware of such a situation, such an order by the government of India. So even today, sometimes we receive adverse drug reactions, like consider even you consider the underreporting. So out of if 100 reactions has been happening, only one or two reaches us. So even with that, which means we are still receiving reports about nimesulide in pediatric population, which means there are a lot of people they are still using nimesulide. So despite it is being banned in other countries, we cannot ban without having a proper indigenous data. So therefore, that is the reason we are doing continuous training and sensitization programs. We are sensitizing every general public to report more and more. The more they report us, the more we will be in a proper position to restrict the use or the ban the drug based on our recommendations. So what we do is like we recommend these recommendations to the Central Drug Control Organization. They are the custodians, and they will be eligible to take regulatory recommendations like banning the drug, sir. I hope I answered you, sir. You're mute, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you
Sir,
very
good
much.
afternoon, sir.
The last question is,
Sir, I would like
is
to
there
put a
any
question.
chance?
What are the main content purpose of pharmacovigilance in India?
Sir, I didn't get your question, sir.
Yes, sir. What are the main
Sir, can you
content
sir, can you please,
purpose of pharmacovigilance?
sir, can you please ask the question? Is it possible in the chat box? Your voice is breaking, sir.
Yes, sir.
Am I audible, sir? Dr. Roy?
Yes, yes, please, sir.
Sir, suppose we want
Sir,
to
what are
establish
the
a
main
ADR
content
reporting
purpose of
center.
pharmacovigilance in India?
You mean objectives? Main objectives of pharmacovigilance program of India?
Yes, yes, sir.
Sir, the objective is to protect people unnecessary harm from the use of medicine, sir. See, when you these adverse events is inseparable from the use of a drug. So every drug, if when you take, it is bound to have adverse drug reactions, which you could see that in every textbooks you could find that, sir. So what we want is, in order to take any action on that, so we need to have more and more reports. So the more the reports we receive, the more steadily we can take any action. So the basic purpose is that in order to safeguard the 1.34 billion people across the country from the use of the drug, to prevent unnecessary harm, sir.
Sir, the last question, sir.
Yes, sir.
Suppose we want to set up a ADR reporting center over here in our institution.
Yes,
Is
sir.
there any paraphernalia, or we can start right now, sir?
Yes, sir. You can start, but you have to apply it through the enrollment form. We have a specific enrollment form in our website, sir. You can apply for it. You can apply for the pharmacovigilance as well as the material vigilance program also. So the form is freely downloadable from our website. And sir, for establishing an area monitoring center, you should have a hospital setup associated with you. So do you have a hospital setup with you, sir?
No, sir. No, sir.
Now, in such a
Right
case,
now, not.
yeah, even in such a case, you can do it because you have to associate yourself with some hospital, and
Yeah.
you have to sign an agreement between you both that they don't have any objection of collecting adverse drug reactions from their hospital. So along with the enrollment form, you as a pharmacy college also can function as an ADM monitoring center, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes.
Thank you for accepting our invitation and giving your valuable time and addressing our faculty member and students. Thank you very much. You have beautifully explained about the patient safety and pharmacovigilance programs of Government of India, and you started with new drug registration, then clinical trials, history of ADR, formation of PVPA. Then in 2010, it was started with the AIMS. Then 2011, the Pharmacovigilance Program of India has started. And here I would like to say, sir, in 2014, we had invited Dr. Kalai Salvan and the then CDSCO chief, Dr. Singh. Both of
Okay.
them had went to Odisha, and they had inaugurated the form in regional language at Bhubaneswar.
Okay.
And it is really a good journey, sir. Within since 2011, within a span of 12 years, 751,000 reporting are really commendable job, and out of that, 117,000 problems has been identified, and one drug has been withdrawn from government of, from the Indian market, and it is really a tremendous job, sir. And I must congratulate IPC for celebrating this pharmacovigilance week. And on behalf of Danteshwari College of Pharmacy student, staff, and management, I would like to promise you that we would like to, will definitely set up a ADR reporting center over here. And also, like National Pharmacy Week, we are celebrating every year, we'll also start celebrating this pharmacovigilance week from next year onwards. And also, we promise you, sir, all of our staff and student will sensitize this reporting system, and also will try to sensitize the local other healthcare professionals. And this is all about the pharmacy from Danteshwari College of Pharmacy. Once again, I thank you very much, sir, for coming. And tomorrow also Dr. Kalai Salvan, sir, is going to address our student. We are fortunate to hear you from IPC, Government of India, sir. Thank you very much, Dr. Roy, for coming and addressing our student and staff. I hope we'll invite you again and again to aware our student as well as staff. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure, sir, to be part of this program. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. So the meeting is for today. This meeting is over. Thank you very much, Dr. Roy. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
And this is your certificate, sir. We will be
Yes.
sending you by post. So
Okay.
this is on e-mode.
Okay,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.
Sometime we will invite you to our institution physically, sir, so that
Yes.
you can address.
Sure.
Thank you,
Anytime.
thank you, Dr. Rai, and thank you very much, my dear colleagues, my dear students, and other pharmacy professionals, those who have joined on Zoom, Google Link. Thank you, Snigdha, for attending, and all other people, those who are watching on YouTube also. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.